Well, good morning. Obviously, we are no longer in Italy. We are back in the United States just as promised. And straight away, as we walk around the property for the first time since getting back, things look extremely different from when we last left. Back then, it was gorgeous. It was fall. We had lovely leaves on the trees, and now all of the undergrowth has died off. You can see places through areas that you never saw before. But the downside is the weather is quite terrible.
Very
bad.
Cold and nasty.
Yeah. To be honest, we have been back here for quite a few weeks now, and even though we have been back, this is our first time back here because the snow has been awful.
Crazy.
The worst that it's been that I've ever been aware for this area in a long time. I'm sure you guys have been struggling with it too, but finally we can get back on the property and get back to work.
So one of the main things that we've noticed since being back is that we actually have a river now. This is runoff from all of the properties around us, as well as obviously all of the snow melting. But it actually creates quite the problem.
So this is just a seasonal runoff stream from the surrounding area. Kind of all of the surrounding landscape flows through our property. So as the snow melts, as rain picks up, which we do get some heavy rains this time of year, this stream can go from flowing really heavily to just a trickle as it is right now. But as we came back and walked around, there are some signs of some pretty massive flooding while we were gone away, of some large logs that were picked up and moved up the embankment, and some erosion that's been happening. And a lot of that flooding is because this tiny little road that we built behind us was always temporary, and I was meant to fix it before we left, and I forgot. So we have a little bit of a rush and a little bit of a problem to fix because we need to get this road fixed with a properly sized culvert before those rains come in. There we go. It's good to be back in a piece of machinery. It's been a while. This one I have the least experience with, so I need to remember exactly how this guy works. It feels really weird being back in this, and there's a lot of controls I need to remember, but we need to go dig out that culvert, and then it just so happens we found a free, rather expensive culvert on the property that they left behind. Yeah, it feels good to be back. This whole thing was a lot easier back when we first did it because there was no water flowing through. So now we have to dig this out, put a new culvert in, and somehow get a functioning, at least temporary road back while the little stream here is flowing. It'll be fun.
So the problem is not just right here where this culvert needs to be replaced. Actually, all along the stream, there are places where there are large logs and debris that are actually blocking the flow, so that there's spots that are actually getting flooded. So that's a problem that we need to be fixing all throughout the property. And this piece of machinery right here is going to be instrumental in helping us solve that problem.
It's funny how quickly you pick things back up. When I first stepped back into this machinery, it was a little intimidating. I'm like, oh man, I don't remember how to use this. But within 5 minutes or so, all of the controls kind of came back to me. And as I'm digging here, I'm starting to become a little bit more encouraged. It's not as soft and squishy as I thought it was going to be. Honestly, I thought this was going to be just a disaster with how wet everything is, but we'll see how we get along.
I'm already starting to see the water actually start flowing now that we've started digging some of this out. You can see the water actually moving down the stream as it's supposed to. So I think that's just affirmation we're doing the right thing. This is moving the way that we need it to. So Bradey was just telling me that even though it's actually a little bit messier to do it this way with the water running through, it's actually easier because you can see the flow of the water, you can see how deep you need to cut it out, the shape that it needs to be so that you can make sure the water is flowing properly. So it's actually easier and a bit more helpful to actually have the water here running in the stream because you can see what's happening, but it is a little muddy.
All right, I think that's probably good. I learned from the last time that I need to cut it a lot deeper than you think you need to give it space to sit in there properly.
Looks good. A little muddy.
It looks like a mess. Now we can go take a look at our free culvert we found. I'm pretty sure I looked this up, and for this size, it's close to anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500. I just found it lying around, which is wild. So no, we didn't leave any of the equipment here on the property while we were gone. That was all taken off to my brother-in-law's barn, stored it properly for the winter. But it's nice to have it back here, and it's impossible to do these tasks without this equipment. Man, to think that this was just here, like we would have had to buy something like this, and like I said, $1,200 to $1,500. It's perfectly fine.
Yay.
I don't have a tape measure with me. I'm assuming it's a, I don't know, 30-inch, maybe. What is that? How tall am I? I have no idea. The funny thing is that I don't have a tape measure because all of my tools are locked up from when we packed everything up before we left, and I don't have the key. It's a long story. I'll be able to get the key back, but it'll take a couple of days. So for now, at least we have the machinery, but I don't have access to any of my other tools. I've got a shovel here, and that's it.
Oh boy.
So just like with my tools being gone and locked up, I don't have any of my reel straps. These were just lying around. I think I would have to drag this like a good 2,000 feet or so, like half the distance back into the property. So I'm just hoping it doesn't snap.
So there's obviously quite a few obstacles along the way, like these water tanks we have to get around. So Bradey's doing such a good job maneuvering around things and getting this culvert all the way back to where it needs to go. The road is also in actually really, really good condition. We were really surprised when we came back after all the weather and everything to see that it's really stood the test of time, which is so exciting. But that's also why Bradey is not dragging this culvert on the driveway, because it would absolutely destroy it. So he needs to go around in the grass to protect the road. And there's obviously going to be a lot more obstacles along the way by doing it that way, but it's just necessary.
It's a lot bigger than I thought it was.
It's huge!
Yeah, I need to dig out a little bit further and probably deeper as well. I didn't realize it was so big. All right, well, before we move any further, I just wanted to pause a brief moment to thank today's video sponsor and to remind you guys about the importance of protecting your personal data while online. More and more these days, it's really important to make sure that your data doesn't end up in the wrong hands and to make sure that you're protecting your private data. And for that, we use Delete Me. Delete Me is a hands-free data removal service that removes your personal information from hundreds of data brokers and people's search sites, reducing the risk that your personal information ends up in the wrong hands. When you first sign up for Delete Me, you'll get a privacy report within 7 days showing where all of your personal information has been spread around the internet, and then Delete Me will work on your behalf to have that data removed. If you're having any issues with unwanted spam phone calls or phishing attempts via email or other methods, it might be a sign that your data has been leaked around the internet. with scams and phishing attempts on the rise and getting worse every day. It's really important you protect yourself. And in my opinion, the best way to protect yourself is by simply having the information removed so they don't know how to contact you. Right now, if you'd also like to join Delete Me, you can get 20% off by going to joindeleteme.com/Voyagers, or by scanning the QR code on screen now, or simply by entering the coupon code Voyagers at checkout. But with that, thank you so much to Delete Me for sponsoring today's video. Yeah, that went pretty well, actually.
Is it too big or no?
No, I mean,
Okay.
we're gonna have to raise the level up quite a bit, and I think what I'm gonna do is, now that it's in the position, I'll just kind of push it off to the edge, or off to the one side, dig a little bit deeper. Yeah, it needs to dig deeper, but cool, it'll be so much better.
I just looked way into the mud.
At least you have mud boots on. It's pretty squishy.
It's pretty nasty out here.
Pretty squishy.
This might be in a shoe.
You can do it.
Woo! It's what it takes to get the shot. Oh my goodness, look at me. Oh goodness.
All right. Hopefully it's good enough.
We'll see. So how do you get it to not float underneath?
That's a good question. I like how you ask questions that you think I know the answer to. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing.
We're learning together.
I think the thing is you need to bury it deep.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen everywhere else. Like, it needs to be buried really deep, and I don't think it's deep enough.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. That's the problem. Man, to be honest, this was not the project I wanted to start on. This is not what I want to be working on right now. What I want to do is knock down this huge, ugly building here, the previous home that was here, as well as start knocking down all of the old storage sheds and this old whatever that was. No clue what that was. But there's like 5 or 6 tiny little storage shed. This guy's gonna be a little bit challenging to get out because there's a metal frame underneath it. But how satisfying will it be to use this machinery to just smash it up and haul it off? But unfortunately, this is the project we need to get done now. Plus, you know, I promised the kids I would let them help smash those buildings down, so I do need to wait for the weekend for that anyways. Speaking of the kids, Heather's gone off to get them. I think it's gonna take me a minute to get this right, so I'm gonna set you on a time lapse. Just get to work. Well, it's taken me a lot longer than I expected. Just getting this thing level and at the right depth is proving to be a little tricky, so it's a lot of in and out and burying and getting too deep and then filling it back in. But I think we'll see. I think it's set for now, but just for a comparison's sake, take a look. Oh man, that's nasty. I need some real boots. Let's go over here. But just take a look at a minute for how big this guy is compared to what we took out, and look how small it is in comparison. While it's not fun and glamorous work, it is very much necessary, and realistically, I really should have done this either from the first time or before spring hit. So I've got all of these big piles of dirt lying around the property from when we built up the road, because it involved scraping off the topsoil, and I went a little overboard making sure that 100% of the topsoil was scraped off, and in the process mixed up a bunch of clay with topsoil. So I've got all of these mounds spread across the property that I can now use to bring up the level of this road, as the new culvert is a good 2 feet taller than the previous one. So the entire road needs to rise up as we cross over this little stream going back into the back end of the property where the build site actually will be. And to be honest, raising up the road is a really good idea just to avoid future flooding and to prevent what's happened while we were gone from happening again. But also because the road, as you go back up into the build site, I'm stepping over the culvert now, and this entire section right here, it goes up quite steep, and all of that needs to drop down and go a little bit more gradual. So I need to be able to slowly, long-term, cut the road out here and move a lot of that dirt back to this area, because this whole area right here, the level needs to rise up. It's all really confusing, hard to explain on camera, especially since you can't tell the gradient of things and how steep things are and whatnot. But in the end, all it means is, well, lots of dirt to move and lots of fun playing in the machines. Well, that's an unexpected happy discovery. I didn't expect, as I wanted to give it a brief shot at cutting in this road, kind of bringing down the level, as I mentioned, of coming back up into the build site back behind me. And I discovered that immediately we hit the perfect clay that's just the right moisture content, which I thought everything would be so soupy this time of year, but because of the hill, because of the runoff, it's just the right consistency and immediately clay. So quickly I'm cutting back this road, using it to significantly build up this, what do you call it, a bridge over top of this culvert crossing the creek. And things are going so much better than I expected. I thought I'd have to wait another month for things to dry out to this level in order to fix this road properly. Good morning. Actually, well, good late afternoon. It's kind of a late start today. I'm working alone because Heather has jury duty, which I think is just hilarious, and I can't wait to hear about that. So today I just have a couple of hours to work as I have to pick up the kids, and well, again, Heather has jury duty. Yesterday I stayed late finishing up this road, or getting it a little bit closer to being finished up, and today I'm thinking that I'm going to take down just a couple more trees to make this entrance back here just that much easier, because as we get further into things, we're going to have very large trucks coming along, and well, I know it's hard to tell, but the road would be so much better if it could just kind of go straight through here. So I need to take a couple of these trees down, and I need to take one tree back there down. And the good news is I just got off the phone. We have dumpsters arriving tomorrow. We've called the power company, and these horribly ugly buildings are getting demolished once and for all. if you saw our videos back in the fall of last year as we were knocking down lots of really big trees, then you'll recognize this process of digging out the roots and basically using the excavator to push over the tree rather than to cut it down with a chainsaw. It's just so much safer than being underneath the tree as you're cutting it down with a chainsaw. And then you have the 2-for-1 effect of taking out the root system as well, so that you don't have to bring back a stump grinder. Now this is obviously on a much smaller scale right now, as I just have 3 really tiny trees to take out, and the ones we were taking out before were massive. And that was such a fun process to be able to take those trees out with my dad and to be able to mill up our own lumber out of those trees. It was honestly just an absolute blast. We accomplished so much with that week of him being here on the property. But for today, like I said, we're just taking down 2 or 3 really small trees. All right, it's the first fire up of the season. Let's hope it goes well. Man, that's just embarrassing. It really shows that I have a lot to learn with the excavator. I feel so much more comfortable with the skid steer, but it's the excavator that we need to use to knock down the house, coming very, very soon. And moving that brush with the excavator just showed how much I have to learn and that I'm really not ready to tear down a house, but we're gonna do it anyways. So hopefully from this perspective you can see what I'm talking about, but currently the road was kind of curving around those trees. But we're going to take a moment right now and just cut this bankment back to allow the road to go straight back. Again, if it was 4 cars, it wouldn't matter that much, but with heavy trucks going back there, concrete trucks, the angle of this slope, the curve, it just feels a little sketchy, so we're going to fix it. Time lapse. Well, things were getting quite repetitive, so I decided to put the camera down for a day and just focus on the work. And I managed to finish not just the road, but a ton of land clearing around this area, taking down a bunch of dead trees and brush that doesn't need to be here. And my whole vision for this entrance area is to feel somewhat like a park setting as you drive through this tree-lined driveway heading back to the back of the property where the build site will be. And while with all of that clearing, we ended up with a massive pile of brush here to burn, which there's going to be quite a bit of brush burning going on in the near future, I think. But you might have noticed that behind me here we have our dumpsters delivered. We've got 2 on site right now. We're going to need a lot more because starting tomorrow, we're going to be tearing down this horribly ugly building and making this place look so much nicer. But with that, thank you so much for watching and supporting us, and we'll see you in the next video.